It is unclear to me if that's the case, but hopefully we're good to go. And today I'm just going to chat for a few minutes because I'm back on YouTube. My appeal from last week apparently went through and I can live stream again. So that's good news because I was like kind of getting into the habit of live streaming, and I hope that a few people will show up on the YouTube side over there, since that's what it's all about. And I obviously didn't do any live streams like for the last few days because of that. Additionally, I just didn't do them on Facebook either because, you know, why not take a break? So that's where we're at today. So if you're just joining up, I see a few people are hopping on. Please let me know, you know, that you could hear me, but also, you know, just say hi, let me know where you're from, let me know where you're joining from. And like I said, with any luck, Facebook's also working, but it's unclear to me. And I do see we have at least a couple people over on YouTube, so that's cool. And I'm trying a different mechanism today, so we'll see if that's going to work for us. So I'm just going to type, let me... Yep, so I'm trying to use like Google Hangouts to do the live stream today instead of you know, streaming from my phone, which, you know, we're trying to use the good microphone for YouTube because I like YouTube. And it looks like I may actually have a few more things that I can do with the Google Hangouts than I thought. I didn't realize I had this capability exactly. So that's actually pretty cool. Let's see here. Oh yeah, they do give me some things. I think I could technically share my screen and do some other stuff like that, but wow, pretty amazing. Yeah, I didn't realize I could do all this. They used to have this in place just for like all live stream, or sorry, for Google Hangouts, but I didn't realize I could live stream from Hangouts. So anyway, this is new for me today. So what I can do is mention like sort of what happened. As far as I know, I could only tell you my perspective. So about a week ago, I actually was last Tuesday exactly, I scheduled a couple YouTube videos to go live. They were teardowns for niche sites. They were Amazon affiliate sites, and I went through and critiqued these sites. There's actually a playlist, and there's about 14 of them published, I believe. So I published 3 of them to go live like all at once, like at the same time, so that I could place them in a playlist. So I could put them in a playlist and just have all that go live. So a lot of people were asking me about, you know, publishing more of these. So I thought, hey, I'll go ahead and just get them all out there right at once. I think because I had so many similar videos published all at the same time, for some reason that triggered like inappropriate content, some kind of spam warning or something like that. And it immediately put that video out, right? So after, not immediately, but as soon as it was flagged, like 2 to 3 hours later, that video was offline, not available, and then my account had, you know, a strike against it. It looks like you get like 3 strikes, you get like 3 warnings, it seems like. So I had 1 warning against me. However, they say if you think it's a mistake, you can appeal the process and submit basically like a one-liner, 1-sentence explanation. I'm not sure how many characters it is, but like you just get like 1 small field to type in what happened, or why you think it's not a violation. So I went ahead and submitted that immediately within the, you know, 5 hours or so. And I didn't hear anything back. I just got something that they received it, and that was it. So fast forward until this morning, you know, I was actually, let's rewind. I was actually super stressed out because my analytics for like YouTube, like any good marketer, I'm like tracking my analytics and like obsessively going to check to see like how my analytics are changing each day. And, you know, there was like a steady trend of like upward movement. It wasn't like huge growth, but it was like, you know, 1% a day. And I'm like, well, this works, right? If you extend 1% a day, like that's a lot, even if it, you know, doesn't continue at 1% a day. And the hope, right? The hope is that actually at some point I reach some sort of critical mass and it's not 1% a day, it's like 3% a day. I didn't reach that point yet, but there was steady growth for like 3 weeks, something like that, where I was like, this is working. I'm going to stick with it. Like YouTube is working well for me. So as soon as this issue happened, I was like, crap. I was getting a lot of momentum through these live streams. Not that a ton of people like join them. I have some very, you know, loyal folks, which I appreciate. I see I have about 5 people watching right now, but some people show up all the time and they're, you know, they're there like every day, every week they're there. And basically that like momentum like went away immediately. So when I'll probably do a video like in the next week or so where I just like show my analytics. Hey, here's when I started doing live streams. Here's the steady growth. And then as soon as the live stream stopped, like the growth went down and there's just like the same steady decline. So, I mean, hopefully we'll be able to get back to a point where we were before. And you know what, we definitely will. It'll totally be fine, but it's just a little slow down. And, you know, I was definitely starting to get stressed out. I was like, not cool with how it went down. I had no information, and it reminded me of, you know, Google penalties, right, for webmaster tools when, you know, you get a site penalized for doing gray hat stuff. So I thought, oh no, I've put myself in this position again where I'm vulnerable and I have no control over, you know, that portion of like the audience of my platform, right? I have no control over that area. And there's like no one I could call. There's no one I could ask. And it turns out like if there was anyone that I could call and ask for help or whatever, I'm just like a small YouTuber with like a very small audience compared to, you know, a lot of people. And they wouldn't care, basically. And I get that, right? Like, why would they care? But basically, I had nothing to do, and there's nothing I could do other than just like wait it out. But it did, you know, remind me. Sorry, I got these wires over here. It did remind me that basically, like, stuff's gonna work out okay. You know, sure, it sort of broke my momentum and, you know, it was a little discouraging, but at the end of the day, it's just like, if you're going to work on a business, there's going to be like hurdles. Everything's going to be like way harder than you think it's going to be, whether you're like starting your first niche site or you're like trying to find a niche, or you're trying to like, you know, open a brick and mortar store, open a restaurant. Like everything's harder. There's always going to be like way more hurdles than you expect. And it's usually, you know, pretty inconvenient, I would say. So you just have to roll with it and adapt. And, you know, last week I had a webinar and an inner circle session for 5-figure niche site scheduled, and I had to adapt. I, you know, took a day or two, hopefully, to get things resolved. They weren't resolved that quickly, but I was able to go ahead and, you know, adapt within a couple days. And luckily this appeal went through. And when I logged into my account today, I had like all green bars and my account was in good standing, both for the copyright area and for the community guidelines. So I'm good to go. And the strange thing is I have literally no information on the the issue or like why it was flagged or anything like that. Because I mean, my main thing is to like understand the rules so I can like not break the rules again. If there was anything, right, it could have been, actually, I have no idea. I could speculate a bunch, but I have no idea what it was. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at today. And I believe, I do see we have like 7 viewers on and it is unclear to me, like normally we have some good chat conversation going on, and let me see if I could actually see the chat or any kind of live stream here. I have no idea. No idea. So if there are questions or comments out there, so I have a live chat in what seems to be two areas, and thanks Facebook people for joining too. If you're watching this later, which a lot of people I hear watch the replay on Facebook, feel free to ask questions there. I do try to like check the comments later as best I can. But the funny thing is, like, I have my Google Hangouts and there's a chat there, and then I have a chat window on my live streaming window, and you know, it looks like one should be able to chat here, but I don't know. Maybe I have the settings set up wrong or something. Let's see. So I'm just checking to see if people can chat. Okay. Yeah, like I said, totally unclear because I have my Google Hangouts, and I guess no one else is in the Hangout with me. So it would make sense that no one could chat there. But there is, you know, what seems to be a live chat over on my streaming window. But yeah, you know, perhaps I'm just talking to myself here. But if you can, if you can leave a comment later, that would be totally cool. If not, that is also cool, although it would be great to have that work out. And I'm assuming it's not super exciting for me to work through the issues here, so I assume for other people it's even more boring to watch me struggle with technology. So I see Bobby Jones over on the Facebook side. Awesome. Thank you for joining up. Do you have any questions, Bobby? And I am, again, like I said, I'm still just looking to see if there's like any way to chat with people or whatever on YouTube. And it doesn't really quite look like it here. Very strange, very strange. But it was kind of cool. I was able to schedule this live stream in YouTube as an event. So I don't know if that actually showed up for people, but that is a thing that can be done. And it sure looks like I should have the live chat enabled here, but doesn't seem like there's a way to chat. Okay, well, cool. It looks like since I'm just fumbling around and mumbling about stuff, maybe it's time to get going here. Oh, you know what? I guess I can mention if you're here, well, I'm drinking out of my Hoth cup. I don't know if people like the Hoth, but cool little logo here. So I published, I believe, part 10 for Project Go White Hat and talked about listing this niche site with empire flippers. So if you haven't checked that out, it's a good post. There's a lot of information in there. I even share some of the offers that we got. We reveal the listing price, the valuation of the site, which is very, I guess a lot of people were really interested in that. I mean, that's probably like one of the most interesting parts of the whole case study, to be honest with you, since it's really just, you know, the reason we did this whole guest posting campaign. So David says, it's a great post. It looks like I got a good deal. Thanks. Yeah, it worked out pretty well. And next week is when I'll publish the offer that we actually accepted. still drafting up the post there. So, oh, and I guess I could also mention I'm drafting a guest post today for my friend Matt over at Dumb Passive Income. It should publish next week. I still got to work it out with him as I'm still drafting it and he hasn't seen it yet, but I'm assuming next week will be good. So Bobby Jones on the Facebook side asks, in my post, this is Project Go White Hat Part 10, I mentioned the Empire Flippers only sell sites 20K and up, which is true. They changed that policy, and generally it's because there's just certain work that has to be done for them to sell a site. So their margins are just lower on cheaper sites. So they work with more expensive sites because they can at this point. So Bobby asks, where would you buy or sell sites under 20K? So I'm not big on buying and selling sites just generally. I've only done a few transactions. You could go to Flippa, right? So that's the auction-based site. I've purchased one site from Flippa for pretty cheap back, like last year at some point. I'm doing some testing. That's why you've never heard about it. I'm doing some testing with it. But basically on Flippa, it's an auction site. It's like eBay for websites. So you can go there. That's one area. You could also try to sell it privately via like a Facebook group. That may be a place where you can get some traction also. In both of those cases, you really, I guess in Flippa, you have a little bit more protection through their just process and their website. They don't necessarily like protect you and that sort of thing the same way that like Empire Flippers would. That's why Empire Flippers is like more expensive. They do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. And then other than that, I don't know, right? We'll mention there are lots of other website brokers. So I would recommend that you go over to like LinkedIn. And I don't know, I'm sure there's like brokers that deal with all sorts of price ranges. So I would recommend that you go to like LinkedIn and I was surprised. There's a lot of website brokers out there and investors. So if you just go out and start networking and let them know like what you're looking for, they could probably either help you directly or point you to people in the right price range. So that's what I would say, Bobby. I would check that out. And again, it's all like relationships and relationship building. I mean, Rob and I have worked with Empire Flippers over the years multiple times. We know them. I've guest posted there a couple times. Like, I'm probably gonna, even if it's cheaper in some other with some other broker, I probably would work with Empire Flippers anyway. So just generally, and I mean, I'll mention the site sold like pretty fast for that price range. I mean, I was unsure how fast a site would sell in that 270 price range. Okay. And yeah, any other questions? And Bobby, hopefully I answered it for you there. As I am continuing to click around here, trying to see if I could find the chat room for, I'm trying to find the chat room for this. Oh, wait. Cool. I found the chat. I don't know why I couldn't find it before. Everything's just a little everything's just a little different over here. Okay, I learned something. I'm not sure why I didn't find it before, but I see Tahana, Emil, David, Psycho, Active. Cool, thank you, everyone. And Daniel, yes, Daniel, I can see your chat now. Thank you for joining. It's fun. I don't know where the fuck that was before. Crazy. Okay, so I found it. And then I have a question over on Psycho from Psycho Active. How long does it take you to get good rankings with white hat SEO? Roughly, well, it depends, right? So there's a lot of different questions, but if I just have to give like a general answer, usually it's like 4 to 6 months, and then your rankings will continue to improve. And those are for like generally more competitive type terms. Generally, the search volumes are in the like 500 to like 2,500 range, and it'll take a little while for those to rank. I will also mention, if you talk to gray hat SEO people that use like PBNs and Web 2.0s for their link building, they generally say the same thing. So I don't know that you actually get any kind of like speed boost by using like gray hat techniques. It's just a different way to do it. So if you'd rather like pay for that stuff to happen and have it hands off, then you can go that route and accept a little more risk with it. Or if you want white hat, usually it's less risk and you're gonna have to do some like work to get it done. You can try and outsource guest posting, but I usually don't trust that. It's a time-consuming process, and if it's done right, it's a kind of a pain in the ass, so it takes a while. And if people are charging a cheap price for it, then usually it's not good. So then, Psychoactive says, how much are you investing in new affiliate sites in terms of content and links? So personally, right now, I'm not doing any new sites. I'm just working on sites that I've had and they've been on the back burner for a little while. So I'm not spending anything right now. One of the sites that I'm like putting more content on currently, so if you remember, like in the last month or so, I've been talking about hiring a bunch of writers. So I hired a bunch of writers, and how much content am I getting? So for a stretch, for about 2 weeks, I got, how many articles did I get? Like 70 articles. I'll do some quick math. So I got like 70 articles, and I paid about $14. So I got about 70 articles and paid about $1,000 for them, something like that, in that range. So, and that was in a 2-week stretch. So I guess $1,000 in 2 weeks is a decent chunk of change, but it was like reinvestment, right? A portion of it was reinvestment into a site that's making like 5 to 7K a month. So kind of a small reinvestment. In addition, I was kind of neglecting the site. So I'm trying to catch back up and like give it some love. So good questions, Psychoactive. Okay, and David also mentions over here on the YouTube side, I had a similar thing when I appealed a site that was manually penalized. Yeah, so basically, you know, I had my YouTube channel like flagged. David had a site, you know, penalized, and yeah, they don't give much info. And Tahana mentions they don't give info even to the biggest YouTubers. And yeah, so it's just kind of a lack of you know, information back to you, which is slightly like, I don't know, unfortunate. It'd be great to have that level of information. So, oh, and I see Facebook over here is getting crowded, like 5 people over there. And Daryl says the best money is free money and work for it without paying. Indeed, indeed. Although it's kind of fun to do work and then have it pay off. I don't know, I'm kind of into, I like that part where you like struggle through and then figure it out. Then Jared says, do I publish them all at once? As quickly as possible, yes. The thing is, like, I have all this content now and I need to like get my content manager and editor like back engaged. In fact, like I'm gonna have to find a new person to help me out, because it was a graduate student that I was working with before, and she got her master's. She's like getting a job, so she ended like her work with me back in May. It sort of like was perfect timing because that's kind of when things were winding down. Of course, now I need another content manager, and unfortunately, I had one of the writers scoped out that I was working with over the last couple weeks. She has WordPress experience. She's been a content manager. Unfortunately, it looks like she was able to raise her rate so much that she's like it's out of my price range for this work. So I'm gonna have to find a new content manager and editor to work with. So, but Jared, basically, I'll publish them as quickly as I can, and it's really based on how many editors I'll be able to pull on. So when it comes down to it, I'll have the content written as quickly as possible. It's kind of easier for me to batch it and just like deal with a bunch of content over a month or so and just have like a huge Google folder with all these articles, hundreds of them. And then I can have, I can ramp up a content management editor team to like process these. Normally it takes about 1 hour for them to process, edit, add links, add images, like get the post ready in WordPress, and then they'll draft it, right? So if we work backwards, let's say I get 200 articles written, and let's say I can get maybe, I don't know, we'll just make the math easy. If I can get people to work, say 20 hours a week, 20 hours a week, which is part-time. Most people are not looking for like a full-time gig on Upwork, but the point is if I get 20 hours a week, that is, several weeks of, someone just working through it. A better way, and what I'll probably do is have like 4 editors working in parallel, and they'll each have their, 50 articles to work through. So in that case, it would take like, 5 weeks. If I did my math right, it would take like 5 weeks to publish the 200, which is like really pretty fast if you think about it. When I did this last year, it took me like 5 months to do 200. So if I could do it in 5 weeks, that would be great. I mean, I don't have all the content yet, of course, so it'll take time. Okay. And Leo's over there. Thanks for joining up. You mentioned change the time. You were waiting until 10 a.m. your time, and then you happened to tune in early. Yeah, basically, I was like, I want to go to the gym earlier. So I'm going to switch the time around a little bit. I may, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you. I may shift the time a little. I'm not, because the thing is, like, I want to make sure people could tune in, but I also want to like make sure I get my best work done at certain times and then get to the gym a little earlier. So we'll see how it goes. Actually, if people could vote, like what time would you want it to be? And don't, I mean, I could even do it like maybe 3 in the afternoon here. So that's like 4 hours from now. So potentially, I could shift it around. I probably won't do it first thing in the morning. That's usually when I'm like writing and stuff like that. And then Jared asks, how long do you think they will take to rank in the top 100? I'm pretty sure these are going to rank within a day. I mean, I think basically as soon as I publish them, they're going to rank. I think a lot of them are going to rank in the top 15. Like, they're going to rank really quick. Thing is, I mean, they won't really push like a lot of traffic until they're in like the top 3, but long tails will come in. Long tails, I don't even know what they are. I mean, let's say it's, what examples do I have? Like best Sharpies for writing on walls. I don't know why someone would look that up, but like best Sharpies for writing on walls. And, there could be long tails for like best Sharpies writing on walls for kids, right? Like there's some long tails that I'm not even targeting, but it's the best match out there. And that will bring in like 1 to 2 visitors a day. So right, if we do the math, right, if I publish 200 articles and each of them, even though they don't rank number 1 yet, if they bring in like 1 to 2 visitors per day, that's like, 200 to 400 more visitors per day, which is a lot. So like by doing this, we can really, get more traffic on your site, and just like Google will like your site because you're providing like information, very specific information for people. And Paul mentions that, hey, what's up? Thanks for joining. And you say this time is good because you're in Europe. Awesome. Good to know. Good to know. So, and Psycho next asks, if I want to target a specific country when doing keyword research, do I just look at the data from that country? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I haven't done that before, but I think that is exactly what you would do. Since you're looking for a specific geography, just stick with that geography. And Dcard, thanks for joining. Emil says this time is good. And David says this time is good. And time is 7 p.m. there, so that's good for you too. And cool. And then Psycho asks, what return on investment can you achieve with an affiliate site? Hundreds and hundreds times like the initial investment. But Psycho active, I'll mention, like adding all this content, I'll expect that it'll like be paid for within like a month or two. So there's a lot of content that I'm adding, and it'll bring in more traffic, and I believe that it'll also just help my overall site bring in more traffic. I think other rankings will improve because of the way that I build my sites and interlink the sites. As far as an ROI, I wrote a couple posts. In fact, I may have one pulled up, which I could share with you really quick. And generally it's around, it is about adding content to get like a positive ROI. Sorry, struggling for the simple words here. I provide the ROI, and it's like a specific example of what I did last year and like how it paid off. And if I did an update to this post, it's like continuing to improve, and it's been almost a year as far as like traffic goes without much like action. So I can actually post it here. Boom. So Psychoactive, have a look at that post, and I think you'll see, from an ROI perspective, like in reinvesting in content pays off pretty well if you do it the right way. Leo, 8 to 4 p.m. is when you can make it. Cool. So I guess, it sounds like this time is pretty good. I may pull it into something around like the 10:30 range, just so we could do this. Then I go to the gym, have some lunch, that sort of thing. So David asks, do I still use the Hoth? And I haven't used them recently. The thing is, they have a lot of new services. So they do have guest posting, which if you refer back to what I said like a few minutes ago, I think they do some like good work, but as far as guest posting goes, like it's hard to control the quality of the sites that you post on. So keep that in mind. They do have a content service, which is awesome. I've heard it's very, very good, and it's a little expensive, but I think they do a really good job on keyword research. I think they have a similar thing to the keyword golden ratio. So you could give them like a seed keyword, and then they'll go deep on it and write the content really well. It's a tad expensive, but I think they do a good job. I haven't used it personally, David, but I know that other people used it and told me that they really liked it. And yeah, the people at the Hoth are like pretty good overall. So if you like that if you like that gray hat work, then I think it can work for you. Next, Tahana asks, are SEMrush and the Moz toolbar essential? No, they're not. you're asking because they're so pricey. You're okay in investing, but you'll have to wait longer and save up. No, they're not essential. I typically, right, I'm pretty cheap, I guess. I try and like keep costs down, maybe to an extent that I don't need to, but generally I try not to buy a tool unless I have to have it. I'll mention that typically you could sign up for these tools on the trial basis, and usually, right, usually if I'm using SEMrush, I can do like all I need to do in a week, and then I have so much data, like more data than I need for like than I would need for like months. So if you just figure out exactly what you need, you can sign up on the trial and then use that tool, save all the CSVs, because typically that's what I'm doing. I go to SEMrush, pull CSVs on competitive sites, do analysis from there, and then you'll be able to, you know, just take the CSVs with you and, you know, use them for a while. And Piachu1 says you've tried Ahrefs and love it. Yeah, Ahrefs is like, I think the best like backlink crawler out there. They seem to like really index quickly, so that's awesome. What do I think about it in relation to your process? Useful. So I think it's great. They have the best backlink crawler. I think it's really expensive, so like I don't typically use it other than like the free version that you can get. I understand nowadays, like you may have to sign up for the free trial and then cancel it, and then you'll have like some limited access where you can see like some small set of results. So, I mean, it's awesome. If I had like a need for it all the time, then it would be great. I'll mention, you know, some people say that they use Ahrefs to like look up their competition's backlinks and then go recreate them. So, I mean, there is maybe some value there, but typically, right, I'm trying to do stuff that can't be copied. So if I could go look at someone's backlink profile and then copy it, that means someone can do the same to me, which sort of like cheapens the, I mean, it's less valuable, right? It's just a thing anyone can go do. So generally, you know, it's interesting to go look at a backlink profile. It's good to look at your own backlink profile, but again, you can pull your own backlink profile in like a minute and then you're done with it. So, you know, if I just had to do that, I would probably like find a friend that has, you know, Ahrefs, see if they pull the report for me, and then go from there. So, and then D-Card says, do I have any black hat tricks for SEO on Bing? I do not. I don't focus on Bing really at all intentionally. So I don't know. I don't know anything about Bing. And I see Sarah Woot over on the Facebook side. It's midnight there, so probably not the best time for Sarah Woot. But thanks for joining up tonight. And it looks like we have a decent crowd, like 14 people over on YouTube, and then 6 on Facebook, and I don't know, probably half are overlap. I know some people are trying to help me out, viewing in 2 areas. Cool. A couple more questions, and then I think we can call it a day. Save it for tomorrow. Cool. So Brian Sheehan asks, do I still use the pillar technique? And can you clarify exactly what you mean about the pillar technique? And then further, you say, do I have to use tagging? The answer to that is no. I just use categories myself, and I don't do too much. I mean, it doesn't matter too much. So the one thing you should not do, like don't archive, don't index your archive pages for categories or like authors or dates or whatever. Like you don't want your category pages, like any archive page, to rank. You want like your individual URLs to rank. So Your SEO plugin, if you use one, should have like a no index checkbox for these like extended archive pages and stuff. Like you don't want your domain.com/category/page/1 to be the thing that's ranking. It just doesn't make sense. You want the individual page which is targeting a topic, a keyword. You want that to rank. Okay, cool. And then Brian clarified and said, the real question is, do you still use silos? No, not really. I basically just do like really intense interlinking. So I did a webinar like a week or two ago. If you go to my YouTube page, you can see that specific like interlinking or internal links for niche sites or something like that. So basically, I just like link everything up. Just make sure the links are going everywhere. I think that's the main benefit from the silo. And the bad part about silos is you have to like plan everything out like really deliberately, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. And if you don't do it right when you plan out the architecture of the site, it's really hard to fix it. So instead, you can just interlink everywhere. So Dark Warrior, what's up? You're new here. Welcome. Thanks for joining. And let's see. And I think, Brian, that probably answers your question. So you are probably good to go. But let me know if you have follow-ups. Paul over on Facebook says, how long does it take to get out of a box? Now, I'm not sure. He didn't finish the sentence. Maybe the sandbox. About 6 months is the answer to that. 6 months, but then it's not like you shoot up to #1 or anything. It's like it slowly improves. So I want to say it's like 6 to 12 months for that like apex to happen. Yep, Google Sandbox, I was right. And then Brian further asked, would I recommend siloing since you're starting fresh, or does it just not matter? So what I have done is like have a couple like pages set up like as a silo, but then I really only have like 2 layers deep. See, the problem with silos is if you start like going too deep, you end up with like really long, complicated URLs that just look dumb. And it's much better to have like your domain name / product review, right? That's like way better. So if you do a couple pages, right? I have a couple pages. That's cool. That's totally fine. You could have a couple pages like that, but it doesn't really matter too much. So, and then Paul mentions, yeah, so the question was about how long does the Google Sandbox like last? How long does it take to get out of the sandbox? You know, it's like 6 months usually, and then I feel like things continue to improve like after that. So, and then Paul mentions that's long. It is long, but like a year goes by fast. I mean, that goes by super fast. And I mean, at this point, like I have a couple sites that are like a few years old. It seems crazy, but like start fast, like I mean, they started small, right? 10 posts or so. Now they're, you know, much bigger sites. They're huge sites. And a year goes by super fast. So may as well go ahead and buy the domain, put a couple things out there, like start doing some stuff. You'll learn along the way, so it's not wasted time at all. Dark Warrior asks, what do I think about Wix? Can I use it to create niche sites? You know what? I don't know much about Wix. So I think technically, yeah, I think you can use it to create niche sites. But I would say go with WordPress. It's just a more universal thing. I mean, it's a skill that could be like more useful to you. In fact, I mean, some people will get into, you know, niche sites. They'll get into internet marketing. They'll learn about like various ways to make money online, or just, you know, stuff. You learn SEO, you learn about content, you learn about, you know, I guess writing, which is the same as content. you may learn about YouTube. Maybe you start a site and then you do a couple of YouTube videos, and then you figure out that you want to do like YouTube live streams every day. Like somehow I've managed to do that. And then you like move away from it. So WordPress, I mean, you could be a WordPress developer. You could figure out you like setting up WordPress sites and, you know, helping people set up their sites. You could become like someone who develops plugins, right? Like maybe you don't even know about the specifics of like development, but you know like what you want plugins to do, and you could hire developers to create these plugins for you. So the point is, I think like WordPress is more valuable to understand than Wix is. And Paul from the Facebook side says that Wix is terrible. So I never like tried Wix, but you know, their commercials look fancy, but you know, I don't know. I think WordPress is probably more universal. You're going to find more plugins like oriented towards like what we're trying to do. Okay. And okay, I see a couple questions coming through, so I'll answer the ones that are out there. And if you have any more, just go ahead and send them in now so we can start wrapping it up. So, JP, I found an interesting niche which you built a website for, and you created 5 posts. One of them is on the 3rd page of Google. What would you suggest I can do to rank? I'm going to assume the on-page SEO is awesome. I'm going to assume the okay, and there's a little bit more info from JP, sorry. The articles are 400 to 600 words long, and there's no backlinks. Okay, so number 1, I was going to assume the length of the content was good, but 400 to 600 words is probably too short. So I would say at least go up to 1,000, and if they are higher search volume terms, like more than 500 searches per month, I would go up to like 2,000 to 5,000 or 6,000. So put a lot more content on. Then after that, spend time getting more backlinks. So I would do blog commenting, and then I would do guest posting. So the blog commenting is so you can network with people in your niche, and then you make friends with them, and then you can do guest posts with them. So make more or add more content, and then get guest posts. So those are, if you just do only those 2 things, like for the next 12 months, you'll have a lot of traffic on your site. Okay, Daniel asks, hi, I have recently made an Amazon affiliate site. I'm getting a lot of hits, but not from a country I need, so no sales yet. Been going a month and getting over 600 hits a day. What can I do to focus on my country? That is a crazy amount of traffic for a month. So I don't know much about like the country aspect. I guess I would make sure that you have enough like search volume for the terms that you're trying to rank from the countries that you're trying to get traffic from. Other than that, I do not know, but that's very interesting that you're getting that much traffic within a month. I have heard the sandbox for other Google like search geographies is shorter. I've heard it's much shorter. John asks, can I recommend any WordPress templates that include essentials for getting started? So by templates, I'm assuming you mean themes, and there's one that I like. There's 2 that I know of. My friends own them, and technically I'm an affiliate, but you don't have to buy through my affiliate link or anything like that. They're fairly inexpensive also. So I think one's called like Authority Azon, and that is from Human Proof Designs. That is Dom Wells, good guy. He's featured in my within my course as one of the like expert interviews. And then the other is Ultimate Azon, and that's by Nick Kosia. And that has like actually it's coming out with like version 2.0 in the next few months, the next month or so. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say that, by the way, but there's a new version coming out and it's very good. I think the new version is going to be even better. And, you know, just out of the box, it has like pre-configured, like nice design and the things that you need, the theme to stay out of the way, which is like one of the most important things that I think a theme should do, is just stay out of the way. I just wanted to have, you know, some speed and maybe a couple capabilities like add tables, you know, stuff like that. So, John, I hope that helps. What I will say is I don't use either one of those themes right now for my sites. I use like a theme that I already own. I know how to use it. So if you already have a theme that you own and you can, you have a couple like page templates and maybe a sidebar, no sidebar, like a little flexibility, and you know how to use it, just use that theme. Like you don't have to like pay a lot of money for anything out of the box. My first site was on WordPress 2012, and it doesn't get more basic than that, right? WordPress 2012, it looked clean. It was a white background, black text. It's like Arial font 14, like the most basic that you can think of, but it looked good. It was clean. I mean, it was the WordPress theme, so they wanted to look good. Now, it didn't have the fancy capabilities, and when I was trying to do certain things, I was having a hard time, but like for example, when I wanted to get rid of the sidebar, like I didn't quite know how to do it. So I had to like try and figure out how to like post something with like a landing page, which isn't super hard, but it's just, you know, a couple things to learn. So the point is you could use a free theme, and there's a whole lot of cool themes put out by Automatic, which is the parent company of WordPress. And those are free, and those look like really awesome. So I would, you know, I would not worry about it. Just find a theme that like you're comfortable with, and if there's one you already know how to use, like try and use that one. Okay. As we go on here, Mustafa says, I think most SEO tools are not accurate due to PBNs. I think you could be right. I think there's a lot of accuracy issues. They can help you get a relative idea from some sites compared to others, but a lot of times there is like data missing. And cool, I think we're all good on the YouTube side. There's one more question from Brad on Facebook. Thanks for joining up, Brad. How fast should I go from small niche site to more authoritative? Like for more broad topics. I'm at 3 months now, but I want to grow into a lot more. Oh, and here from Scorching Phoenix. Yeah, it's funny, like it was pretty warm here in Bozeman like yesterday. I want to say it was like in the 80s or so. And the sun here is intense. So like if it's bright and the sun's directly on you, we're like 5,000 feet or so. I mean, it's like super hot in the sun, but today it's like kind of overcast. It's about 70. It's kind of nice. Okay, so the question is, I'm just digressing here. How fast should you go from a small niche to more authoritative? Okay, so tell me this, Brad. How much traffic and revenue do you have right now? And basically, I don't think you necessarily have to go to a big authoritative site. The site that Rob and I sold when I came aboard, it was making like 10K a month, right? Plenty, 10K a month. Most of it was from one page, right? And then the other thing is there were only 45 pages on the whole entire site, right? That's pretty small. It was like, I think about 2 years old when I hopped on. It was 2 years old. It was making 10K a month, 45 pages, 90% of the revenue was from one page. So when you think about that, it really points to the fact that you can have a small site. You can have just like one, I mean, ideally, you're gonna have more than one page making the money because it sort of spreads the risk. And okay, so Brad mentions right now there's 0 revenue right now, and I'm assuming not much traffic. So, okay, I believe you should probably spend time getting backlinks. Do guest posting. So like your issue now is not the amount of content or how broad your content is. It's like you need to get backlinks to your site. Now, I will mention there's 2 schools of thought, right? You can have a lot of content, KGR content, and just publish it. You're not going to need as many backlinks. Or you could have like a few posts where you like really put time to get like backlinks in. But and I'm guilty of the same thing, right? So I'm speaking because I've made these mistakes. I've done this before, and I still do the same thing. I try not to make the same mistakes over and over again, but it still happens. So the danger and the reason why you're thinking that you should go broad, Brad, is it feels good to publish stuff and it feels good to be busy. And it's a comfortable thing to publish more content. You can literally hire people to write the content for you and you could publish it. And not only do you get like a rush from like getting the content done, and you publish it, like you could see it. It's like a thing you could see. There's a product there that's like visible. But what you really probably need is to do this work that kind of sucks and is boring, especially if you haven't done it before. I'm making a lot of assumptions, Brad. Maybe you're doing guest posting right now and you're like getting ramped up for it. But probably if you spend like so it's 3 months old, if you spend the next 3 months only focusing on, networking, blog commenting, getting backlinks through guest posting, like you'll be so far ahead than if you actually just spent time like trying to publish more content. There are so many people that come to me and they have huge sites. They have hundreds of pages because they followed this authority site model, and they publish just a shitload of content, and basically they have no traffic, right? They have a ton of content. It's really broad. They're basically trying to compete with like, I don't know, like the Wirecutter or something like that. And then they have like no backlinks, and they spend all their time on content, all their money on content. And of course, to be redundant, they just didn't spend the time on the other half of the equation, which is actually like networking, getting backlinks, and doing that portion of it. So Brad, does that help? Did that answer your question? And okay, and Dark Warrior asks, what's the best hosting for WordPress? It doesn't matter really. I don't know. I use, I think as long as you're paying if you're just getting started, okay, 2 answers. If you're just getting started, just go with like some shared hosting that is from like a premium company. So it'll cost like maybe $4 to $7 a month or something like that. You'll probably have to pay all like upfront. I use Bluehost and I use MDD hosting, which is a pretty small hosting company. The key thing is like once you start getting enough traffic, you should upgrade to something that costs like 25 bucks a month. So I have like WordPress optimized over on Bluehost, and then I have a similar type account. It's what they may refer to as like semi-dedicated hosting. Basically, it means there's not a lot of people on your server. They have like a VPS partitioned off. You have maybe 10 other domains hosted with you, and that's it. So your server response time is way better. For me, I haven't seen any like bad like customer service from Bluehost or any issues. When people complain about Bluehost, it's usually shared hosting, and they expect it to be like flawless for like $4 a month, and they expect like world-class service for like $4 a month, which is just ridiculous. I mean, if you want to get high quality stuff, you have to pay you have to pay more for it. It just, I mean, it makes sense. You have to pay more for it. So, okay, cool. Looks like the questions have settled down. And thanks everyone a lot for joining today. Brad, thanks for asking that question. It's a really good question. That may be something that I can like do a whole video on, by the way. So if anyone is not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do subscribe. While you're there, it's really cool if you like and or comment on videos. I reply to everyone as best I can. I think some of the early comments I may have missed, but I'm trying to stay up to date with it. We're going to try this at 10:30 this week to see how it rolls. 10:30 a.m. So like an hour like before it is right now. And hopefully we'll be able to get back on track with our stats. And now I know how to find the chat on YouTube, which is cool. So we're good to go. Everybody have a good day. We'll see you next time.